David Clark.
And it is indeed a pleasure to rise to speak to this bill, my first opportunity to speak at all on this bill. And the piece that I am speaking to is part two, and I'm glad that I have the opportunity to speak to this part because it really does cut to the core of the issue about trust. My colleague, Sir William Seal, has pointed out that if this is the best part of the bill and the other parts 1 and 3 are worse, that is not a good way to make law. But I wish to focus on part 2. It is, we're told at the start, the purposes of this bill, that it is to provide a clearly formulated and consistent statutory framework governing the activities of the Government Communications Security Bureau. The second of the 3 purposes is that it updates the framework to respond to the changing security environment, particularly in relation to cybersecurity and information security, and to changes in the public law environment since the GCSB Act was passed in 2003. And the third is to enhance the external oversight mechanisms that apply to the intelligence agencies by strengthening the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence and Security and by improving the operation of the Intelligence and Security Committee. Now, all of these things go to trust. How the public can be assured that this is enhanced. When you talk about enhancing the external oversight mechanisms, you are talking about, not you, Mr. Speaker, but when we talk about these things, we are talking about not only having a proper oversight, but also being seen to have a proper oversight. And in some senses, they are one and the same thing, because that role must be performed by people that New Zealanders trust. And it is only likely that New Zealanders will trust this agency and these persons when they understand what has gone wrong in the past and what could go wrong in the future. There has been, were it not a serious matter, we would call it a comedy of errors in relation to our spy agencies in recent months. The Labour Party absolutely supports the best possible security arrangements and the best possible guarantees that New Zealanders' interests, economic and personal and otherwise, are being protected, but we do that wanting also that, knowing that the best possible guarantees are given to New Zealanders, that the powers of our intelligence agencies are not being exercised in poor ways, misused, or exposing people in ways that are inappropriate. So, Mr. Chair, that brings me to the SOP that is in David Shearer's name. The leader of the Labour Party, David Shearer, has lodged a supplementary order paper number 305 that seeks to have an investigation into the way that the agencies are run. And it states that within a month of the commencement of this part, were the bill to pass, the Minister must determine, with the agreement of the leaders of each political party, for the time being recognised for parliamentary purposes under the standing orders and so on and so forth. So it means, not Peter Dunn, my colleague says, but it means a series around Parliament of agreed leaders who can then represent the interests of different parts of society, will meet and determine who should be on an inquiry, and it will establish a terms of reference for an independent inquiry into the purposes and functions of New Zealand's intelligence agencies, and it will set up a membership for that inquiry. Now, Mr. Chair, this is something that's very difficult to disagree with, I think, on logical basis. Having a good look at the many things that have gone wrong in the past months seems like a very sensible idea, not only to this side of the House, but to many New Zealanders. And I want to put on record that I noted when I was out door knocking a couple of weeks ago that mainstream New Zealanders that I would not necessarily have expected to be concerned about our spy agencies, are concerned. I spoke to one man, a mechanic, perhaps of a similar age to the chair, a young man still, but probably older and potentially wiser than myself. And this man was very concerned. about the oversight of these agencies and whether they were interfering with ordinary folks' rights in New Zealand. He was also concerned that his children are on the internet and so forth. And today, many of our conversations happen on the internet. We have those conversations that we once had in private now over the internet. We don't expect, Mr. Chair, we do not expect
Dr.
those.
Called it.
Oh, Mr. Chair.
Stephen Browning.